I'm Tamara Caulder Richardson, and I'm your host of Seeking Heaven, the Near-Death Experience and Other Phenomena. I'm a 6-time near-death experiencer, an afterlife speaker, as well as an evidential psychic medium. I want to welcome you to the channel. If you haven't subscribed, please do. We have shows on Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, new premieres with a guest, a very interesting spiritual guest like we have today, as well as live chats on Friday at 6 p.m. And sometimes we do have special events. So please subscribe and hit the bell. Now, let me tell you about our guest today. So excited. Our guest, who's patiently waiting, Wendy Rose Williams, she has had 2 near-death experiences. And she's experienced during those times angels, beings of light, going into this heavenly realm, which she'll discuss, and how it changed her life, as well as her spiritual journey, which she was so kind that she's going to share with us today. As she moves through that, she is also a Reiki healer, as well as a certified spiritual teacher. And her journey takes her to being a past life regressionist. Now, she's trained with Dr. Brian Weiss, who has written the book, many of you know, Many Lives, Many Masters. And she is also not only a past life regressionist, but an in-between life regressionist, and really a spiritual, an adventure guide, because as you'll soon find out, spiritually, she has gone through her own transformation, as well as now being a teacher. So there's a lot that you can learn from Wendy today. Thank you, Wendy, for being on the show.
Oh, I'm so thrilled to be here. Thank you for having me, Tamara. I'm just delighted to be here with the Seeking Heaven audience.
Oh, thank you. So look, you have this amazing, and I didn't mention you're an author. You have this amazing life, and I was saying, my gosh, we're not going to run out of content with you. There is so much there. So let's go ahead. Can we go ahead and talk about the books that you've written, and then we'll get into your spiritual journey and your NDEs.
Absolutely. Well, the first book that I wrote, I'll just hold it up for you here, and I'll just put it right over my face so you can see it. So Regression Healing 1, okay. The Huntsman, the Lord High Mayor, and the World War II Soldier was actually a past life regression session that I facilitated for the man that woke me up spiritually. And it's his past life regression. So it's a nonfiction book, and it just was an incredible journey to help him be able to connect with his guides, because he hadn't been able to do that. He also really didn't have a strong sense of his higher self. And he went through 3 past lives in quite a bit of detail, which is the subtitle of the book. But because the intent for the session was to resolve physical pain, he had broken his neck and had played professional sports in a high contact sport. So just a lot of physical pain. Wow. And when we were in the healing temple in his session, and I asked his higher self and guides, did we get to that lifetime of origin? Did we heal the issue? They said no. And that is really rare. I think I've heard that maybe twice. Okay. In hundreds of sessions. So immediate question, of course, is, well, how can we help them? How can we heal this? Is that possible at this time? And they took us back to 2 more very difficult lives that he needed to experience and forgive the people that were involved in hurting him. And isn't forgiveness just the bottom line so many times? So that's what the first book's about.
Wow. Yeah, I guess it's letting go of those blocks, blocks in life, like don't look at that, I'm still pissed off, right? If we let that go, it frees those attention units. So, wow, that sounds fascinating. Now, you're also working on a part 2 to that too, right?
I am. The next in the series is Regression Healing 2, Joe and Marilyn. And to my great surprise, I had multiple sessions with an individual going and having past life regression sessions with memories that just seem to line up and correlate with Joe DiMaggio. And then I also facilitated 2 sessions for a young woman who's had memories that seem to indicate Marilyn Monroe ever since she was a preschooler. So that was just really, really surprising to me to have those 2 things come together.
Oh, absolutely. Now, you often hear people say, and that's one thing I just love, I could talk to you, forever, that, we both have had a lot of, past life regression. Not only are you what is like the men's hair club, not only are you, a regressionist, but you're also, a client. So,
Absolutely.
Me too. And I know that it works, and it actually, it's such a deep level. It's hard to explain, but you'll release things, you'll release pains, you'll release things. But there are times that things come up that you will see extraordinary lights, or you will be somewhat of a known person. And talk about how patterns, I like what you said earlier about patterns repeating, because I was saying, doing all these interviews globally, I'm like, oh my God, I know you, and I know you. And I'm starting to have these really quick soul connections that I remember past lives with. But talk about these patterns, because other people may be doing it too. Like, why do I feel a connection with that person?
Sure. Well, patterns can come up in multiple ways, certainly. I mean, there can be past life energy that we just need to release. We haven't quite finished that cycle. I mean, it's like peeling the onion. You may think that you have mastered forgiveness or that you've mastered gratitude, but there's always more, that can come in those areas.
Always.
So we may meet with people again because there's just more of that energy to release. I think that leads really well into my second book, and I'll just hold that up again just in front of me here. So the Flow One, Plymouth Plantation, the prequel, it's written as historic fiction, as metaphysical fiction, colonial America, 1600s. And Midnight, now he goes across the screen here. He says, yes, I was in that life too. I just have found just an amazing number of people that were in that past life with me, because it is my own past life. And I just recall coming over on one of the original Mayflower ships. But because I didn't finish a really important lesson in that lifetime, I didn't forgive someone. I felt I was meant to marry a certain man, and he, quote, ghosted me, as we say nowadays, and just disappeared without a word. And I just didn't master in that lifetime. Just get over it. Let it go. Not meant to be. But I actually remained as a ghost and made that interesting choice to stay stuck here as a ghost for hundreds of years. So we needed to meet again, and we did it in this lifetime. And I have a huge cast of characters. I have my mother, my father, my stepmother, my youngest daughter, my cat, just this huge number of people, that same sea captain, same best friend. So many people came in again. I'm so grateful to them, because they allowed me to complete the cycle, complete the pattern that I didn't get back in the 1600s.
So let me ask you this. This is a wonderful example. And I mean, you are just, people don't understand. I'm just going to tell you right now, I have done past life regression. I have to tell you, sometimes it's painful. Sometimes you cry. Sometimes you're like,
that's a good release.
But that's
for a moment or two.
Right. And it's not easy is what I'm saying. But on the other side, there's a freedom. And even if you don't believe it, your soul knows, because you kind of feel it. You have emotion tied to these things, and it is so, you have to be brave to go through it. But on the other side, it's so much freedom and the rewards and knowing you're an eternal spiritual being. So that's interesting. You decided to be a ghost. That's why it's funny. I have helped, and I can't believe we're talking about ghosts, and we haven't even gotten into the real interview yet. I love this. This is awesome. And so, I'm on the fence about ghosts. What do I mean by that? Well, I did the what is it, ghost hunting, which was years ago, because that was me being chicken, coming out, not really telling people I'm a medium. This was years ago, but it was very helpful those 2 years that I did that, because there are what I came across is there are some people, I'll give you one example, and I want to hear about yours, but there was we went to this cemetery, very highfalutin cemetery, and there was a guy walking around like Abe Lincoln. I said, no, we're cool. We have permission to be here. I'm Presbyterian too. I'm really not, but my family is. I mean, I grew up sort of like that. I said, it's all good. We'll be respectful. And there was someone that was in the graveyard. It was a woman from the 60s. She had a short skirt on. And she started telling me about how she was chased and her head hit a rock there. She showed me where. And she said that she was in college and that this guy raped her and her family had money. And she told me the college she went to, which I never knew. It was an older name of a college where I live. I didn't know that was the name. And I didn't know it had anything to do with Presbyterian. I had no clue. And she goes, I went here. My family was ashamed because they had money in the way in which she passed. So she was unsettled because she felt shame and she was left in that traumatic way. So I told her to take my hand. And I said, I believe you. And I said, your story is important. However, you have life to go on and you've got to go on. And I said, because you don't need to be stuck in this. Time has moved on. And I explained how things have grown up and moved on and they've gone on. You've got to go on too. And I said, I give you love. And I prayed with her and I asked for open the portal. And I said, in love, here you go. And she was like so grateful and hugged me and stuff. I didn't work out real well as a ghost hunter because I kept like saying, I was doing like therapy with ghosts and like, it's okay.
You're helping them cross over.
Yeah. And so they didn't like me because they like haunted places and I wanted them free. I wanted like the free, like at the pound, I wanted to free all the puppy dogs. So,
that's why I don't go on ghost tours. Same thing. It's like, would you like me to clear it all out for you? Because that's what's going to happen.
Hey guys, look, I've been there. Let me show you what I saw. Let me bring your mama right here. Hey, okay. You see, they're cool. They love you. Come on. You can do this. Here's some angels. Let's go. So yeah, I didn't work out real well with that, but talk about, why you wanted to experience that because people assume that's scary. It doesn't have to be scary. Now, some ghosts can be really, they break the universal law when they start throwing stuff and get nasty. And that's a whole different topic, but most are just unsettled. Can you explain a little bit about that?
The reason, sure. The reason it goes back to some important things you said regarding emotions, because those emotions are timeless. And I did it in that lifetime as Anne Warren Little. I died very suddenly. So Indian arrow just went down in King Philip's War, 1675. Didn't know I was going to die that day. So wasn't very, very prepared and was just so panicked trying to make sure that family was okay. And I just stayed too close to the body and didn't realize everything would have been answered at home. And I just was super stubborn, to be honest. And because the man that I felt I was meant to be with as a teenager, who had disappeared when I was 18 or so, the last thing he'd said to me was, "Wait for me, Anne, I'll be back for you." But because I'm now in my 60s and he had never come back, I thought, well, he must mean now. So I have to wait for him. So it was just taking that too literally, something that was said decades earlier. And, the light opened up for me. I mean, the portals were there. All the angels and guides were like, come on, you need to, it's time to cross on over.
You remember your crossing?
Well, I refused it in that lifetime as Anne Warren Little, and chose to stay behind as a ghost, and then had to clean that all up and do what I would call a soul retrieval, which was a big deal. And I did that in 2013 because I met the same man again, and we cleaned it up. We forgave each other. And I learned all the history. So I did this deep dive because that past life of mine, Anne just came in and she basically narrated the book and just told me what happened to her.
Wow. So real quick, and I apologize, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I want to make sure that people listening understand soul retrieval. If you could explain that.
Absolutely. Well, my belief is our souls are eternal and we choose to incarnate many times. We can choose many many types of lives. We can choose on planet, off planet, other dimensions, but we do have a soul. And when something very traumatic happens, we can just lose a piece of ourselves, so to speak. It's like a shard breaking off. And when you heal it, when you release it, when you figure it out and understand it, it's like dialoguing with your own inner child, your wounded child, and you just give yourself a big hug. And you can just say, I'm sorry that happened to you. Let's just reframe that and understand what happened and forgive others, forgive ourselves, because often we don't forgive ourselves. And just give ourselves that big hug and extend that love and peace out to everyone. And we can just do a soul retrieval where we bring that wounded part of ourselves back into ourselves now, so we can be happy and healthy now, much more complete.
Wow. Yeah, it's hard to explain till someone experiences it, that they have been so many things. Some people may sense it, but once you go through a past life, that it's not like you're just talking about something. It's really personal. Like you can feel it, and it's an odd feeling at first. I'll have to say it's a little odd because it's so personal. You have emotion. Like if you love that person, you can feel the love. I've ran past life where I love the animal. Like I love this freaking horse. I love this horse.
Absolutely.
And then you're like, oh my God, I love it. And then I remember like petting my pigs. I love them. And like they were an individual. They were somebody to me. And I even had feelings like, I can't stand that person. I've had that as well. And so it's really personal, and it's an unusual feeling because it's outside of this life, and it just proves that we do live forever. So let's talk about I still wanted to keep talking about this, but show us your other book that you wrote too, Heaven Sent.
Certainly. So Heaven Sent is a compilation of 20 plus authors. And what we did was we each wrote a short story about a very meaningful animal encounter. Some of the animals are still alive. Some of the animals have crossed the Rainbow Bridge. But just the incredible magical things that can happen with animal companions. So that's where Heaven Sent came from.
And I love the fact that what you said is that what a portion of the proceeds goes.
All the proceeds, all the profit from this book goes to a veteran charity that helps people get aid dogs. So that was the mission of this book as it was being put together.
Oh my gosh, I love your stuff. And one thing I love about you is that you're very involved with animals and the rescue?
Yes.
Seattle.
Yes, I volunteer with the Doggone Seattle Rescue, which is a foster-based rescue.
Wow. Well, I was telling you, I have a little rescue, and I tell you, out of all my dogs that I've had, this is my first rescue. He literally rescued me. I know you hear that, but he is the love of my life. Out of all the dogs that I've had since a little girl, he is wonderful. And I think that my experience with the rescue animals is that they really appreciate what you're doing. Don't you agree? They really
Absolutely. And what I was very surprised by, the story that I wrote in Heaven Sent is called The War Dog. And I briefly fostered a German Shepherd mix, a female German Shepherd. And what I did not know when I agreed to foster her was she had been my own war dog with me in World War II. And she had saved my life. I was a young American soldier sent to Berlin. And guess what the name of this rescue dog was, this female dog? Berlin. So that was
perfect.
Part of how I started to put, and she was a German Shepherd mix.
Oh
Berlin's
my gosh.
in Germany.
Crazy.
I'm like, oh my goodness, is this like past life for beginners here to help me put the pieces together?
Well, this is really exciting news for people because people love their animals. They love their cats and dogs or bunny rabbits or whatever their animal. They love their animals or their horses. They love their animals, and people get excited to know, oh, I get to see them, in heaven. Was it Robert Bear said he saw in his life review his dog, and he, all this life review said it wasn't exactly pleasant. He said, but the dog, but
Right.
spent their
Right.
lives with them, which is, really amazing. You make this agreement, and it's just, it's a beautiful, it's a beautiful thing. And not that you have to make an agreement with every animal, but certain animals you have a special connection with.
Right. That heart dog, like you're describing with your current dog,
Oh yeah.
or my relationship with my cat Midnight, because he's been with me multiple times in this lifetime. It's his third time as a black cat. So that dates all the way back to my elementary school. And I believe that same soul was also my parents' boxer dog when I was born. And he was kind of like a nanny dog for me. My mom would actually like leave the carriage outside the store. This was a different era, and just put that dog on guard, and just everything was taken care of.
Isn't that fascinating? So now, are these things that have come up in your regression, or after you do a little bit of regression, you start remembering things on your own,
Yes.
or is it a combination? Do you remember
That's
things?
such a great question. So it's we get to this information in different ways. Certainly meditation or whatever spiritual practice, having some sort of daily spiritual practice, even if it's just for 15 minutes, and learning how to ground our energy, clear our energy, raise our vibration, those sorts of things, that energy management, that is just a game changer for how well we can feel and do in life. So yes, for me, the memories first started coming because I was stubborn. I was just like a hard nut to crack. So had the
I find
near
that
death
hard to believe.
well, had the near death
Well, you
experiences to start, and then
okay, we haven't even talked about that. This is what I'm saying. This is what's so cool about you is people get hung up on the near-death experience, which honestly, if you live long enough, most people are going to have something, right? They're going to have something. Most people usually hear and they just die. Usually there's hiccups. I don't know what you want to call that, but you can have just as much
well,
as
there's exit points, and there's exit points, and we choose to take it or choose not to take it, and certainly some are more dramatic than others. But I think once you do start to open, it's just a process. It's not like you spiritually awake in a day. It's just this process of like peeling the onion and just continuing with it. So the NDEs certainly were part of it back in 97. But then another huge part was in 2010, I met a soulmate. And soulmate, I just simply define as someone we've traveled with many times before. It's, someone that we might have some soul contracts or agreements with of, gee, I need to work on this. Will you help me with that? Let's form this soul contract or soul agreement. So in 2010, I meet the man that has the soul contract to wake me up spiritually. So that was a big change. And he did that by introducing me to Journey of Souls and to Dr. Michael Newton's work and to the concepts of past life regression and life between lives. So that was a big epiphany for me. And then in 2011, going to my own first past life regression as the client, that was a game changer.
Oh,
So
yeah.
from there, things started to cook along at just a much higher vibrational rate. And I did learn to meditate a few years later, and then I did train with a dream interpreter. I did start to get spontaneous recall, worked with many lovely healers and psychics who were evidential mediums. So it just started to all it's kind of like adding the ingredients to the soup. It's like, you've just got that soup base and it's pretty darn bland, but then those life experiences keep going in there. And then you do start to cook that beautiful soup.
Well, and I love how you explained it, that we are all a work in progress. You go, what does that mean? But it's more like a crock pot. You put it in, and and if you're cooking, roast or a stew or a soup, it's going to take you 8 hours, a real good, and longer, slower is actually better. To really savor that. It's
And
not
add those seasonings and
not like we're in a hurry. We are where we should be at this present time, wherever that is. The other, because look, I don't think our guides, Team God, I don't think they want us to rush through something, because that might make us feel uncomfortable. We're given what we need to, I believe, at that time. But it's not like we go over an open flame and boom. Now, yes, sometimes that does happen. Sometimes people are hard-headed, and sometimes they never learn, or sometimes they want to be that ghost. It's free will, but
we will. Yeah.
But we live forever, so it's not like you have you get another opportunity.
There's not an expiration date. We've got all the time we need to learn the lessons, because yes, I mean, many of them need to be repeated because it comes in at a different level and it lands with us better. And it's part of why we play all the roles, because I'll have people say to me, well, I'm a little concerned about doing my first past life regression because I'm worried, what if I was a horrible person? It's like, well, let's just get that worry right out of the way. We've all been thieves and beggars and robbers and just, horrible people. But we've also been like amazing lives of giving and service and just, beautiful, beautiful things that we've done.
Rose for humanity.
Exactly. So it's like just letting go of that fear, and that allows us to kind of take the walls down and not be in judgment about other people or about ourselves either, just accepting, because that's how we learn, by being on all sides of the equation in those different circumstances.
It's interesting. I was watching, I don't know if you've seen it, and not that this is a promotion, although I find it interesting. The Gaia TV channel, Intuition, and one of the things we're talking about, past lives and perception, and that we have to see it. And I'll give an example, and you tell me what you think about it. Like you were mentioning, let's say Nazi Germany during the time of the war. So there may be several Nazi Germanys over eternity, who knows? But it could be you're the soldier, then you're the woman who cooks for the soldiers, then you're the Jewish person who's the victim, then you're the Jewish person who sides with the German people, then you see all these different sides, or maybe you're a child, until that, it's like it has to be completed. Do you see like this pattern of?
I do. I completely agree. And I feel like if we can just try and love ourselves and accept ourselves to the best of our ability, isn't that the gift of middle age in a lot of ways? And all the studies showing that that's where, the happiness factor can really, really come in, as we let go and we feel more comfortable being who we are. But just going through, and if you can see it, the school concept is good for me. I like that one because I loved school and I just love learning. So that works well for me. But other people, they're like, oh, that sounds, I don't like that.
School, like,
adventure camp. Think of it as adventure camp.
Like it even better. Although I didn't like camp, but I like the adventure guide.
Let's have it be, work with yourself and have adventures, work with an adventure guide, if that's right for you. Or other people like the play analogy. Think of everything we're doing as this beautiful play. And we've all got a role to play. And that play may be recast, like A Star is Born is the movie that's been made the most times in the US. It's been redone 4 times.
Right.
In very different decades, very different spins on that story, but it's still a powerful, wonderful story. And just, people, like you said, we take turns at playing all the different roles.
And one of the things, I don't know if you mentioned directly, but indirectly, you were talking about that, and 2011, that you met this man that woke you up spiritually, that you had a soul relationship with, and he's helping you. Agreed, maybe like before you got here in the ether state, wherever, agreed, I'm gonna, when this comes up, I'm gonna help in this role. And they somehow know, maybe it's not said in that way, but somehow they know, hey, I feel obligated, I want to help in this way. So it's not just our journey. And when we talk about, these light workers, love, unity, which sounds like it's not doable, but in reality, it is doable if we realize that we're all connected and that we're all on this journey. And I give people grace because it's not easy being on planet Earth.
Mhm.
And I cut them grace because they're going through whatever they need to experience whatever that may be. But talk about how that it's not just about us going through what we need to, but it's also, we're here also in agreement to help others as well.
Absolutely. And he and I met in the most ridiculous way possible. Waking up spiritually was not on my radar. So it's 2010, and I had been divorced for about 6 or 7 years. My kids were doing great. My career was going well. We had built a house and we're just, everything was just cooking on all cylinders. So I'm like, okay, it's time to meet a nice guy. Well, I had no idea how to do that. It had been 25 years. So I went to my younger girlfriends and said, how do you meet a nice guy nowadays? I'm not meeting anybody through church. It's certainly not going to come up through a bar scenario like back in college when,
That's
that
right.
was the fun hangout,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So girlfriends told me, well, there's this thing called Match.com, which of course I'd never heard of online dating. I had no clue. I'd been super busy for years, always working full time, raising my family. So I go on to Match.com, but something very preordained happened. And the minute I changed my radius of how many miles apart you were looking to meet someone, be practical about it. Why do you want to meet someone in Timbuktu when you're in Seattle? And the minute I put in 10 miles, this profile came up and I just could not look away from the screen. It's like, I know this man. I absolutely know this man. And it wasn't just the photos. It's like, I knew how he wrote. I knew what he was going to say before I read it. And it just the energy was there. And he had the same reaction to me. We found 19 lives together. So there just was a lot of energy to sort out and figure out.
So now I know you go, hey, let's go on a date. You want to work out 19 lives together? So how did that? So I'm just curious now. I mean, and this is a crazy story. So you meet, or do you talk for a while online?
We talked for a while online, a little bit of email, and then we got on the phone together and we're playing How Do I Know You? And we're going through like all these things of how we could have met in this lifetime, trying to, well, where have you lived? And, just trying to work out the connection because we both knew it was there. So it took us 3 weeks to meet in person. And by then I'd had time to read Journey of Souls, which was what was meant to happen. And when he walked into the restaurant, because I got there first and I'm just sitting on the bench in the foyer waiting for him to arrive. And the minute he walked in, same thing. It's like, I know him. I know him. I was glued to the bench. I couldn't even stand up because I could feel like the world was shifting.
Are you really?
So hard.
Vibrationally, the energy changed.
Yeah, I've never felt it like that.
Wow.
And he came in and he knew me immediately, and he just dropped down on his knee in front of me and was looking in my face saying, I know you. I just absolutely know you.
Wow, that's intense.
It was over that first lunch. It was over that 3 hour,
What
3 hour lunch.
What an idea.
We didn't want to leave, but we both had to get back to work at some point.
I mean,
it was a weekday. And that's when we realized, we said, it's past lives. We had no idea how many or what they were. That took us about 8 years to figure that all out.
I was going to say, you didn't do this right away.
Well, no, 8 years of work.
Well, so I have heard the theory that we basically all know each other. We all over the planet or other planets. We've all know each other. And, you get people saying, well, if there's a reincarnation, blah, blah, blah. I'm not hung up on that. I think that a soul can have multiple bodies, so I'm not real hung up on even different planets. I'm not real hung up on that. And there could be multiple 1801s, like I was saying, because it's eternity. It's not in this
Play
linear.
runs repeat.
It's what now?
Star is born.
Well, it's funny. It's like, people that go to the Renaissance Festival and they really, really like it. They cannot wait for this to happen again, or to go relive it on another
Civil
planet.
War reenactors. Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, I really liked like the 1890s, where I would wear proper outfits with the hats and the purses, and a lot of learning was taking place. It's really good if you have money during that time. If you don't, it sucks. It's kind of like living in California, an expensive area. It's either going to be really good if you have money, or it's going to really suck if you don't. So, but you, so this person that you met, changed everything. Why is it that people, and I find it so, that people that now, you absolutely have known, absolutely. And even people that I meet recently, I'm knowing that I'm seeing a convergence, and I hear from my guides a convergence of souls. Now, some
Convergence is a great word. That's just that energy coming together in a positive way. Yeah, I just feel that we meet these key people that we're meant to meet, and often they can also play the role of like introducer. Like it can be this beautiful heavenly type of introductions and networking that just goes on, and this person leads you to another person or to another experience or whatever it might be. But yes, I do feel that energy is definitely there.
Yeah, and I feel like it's, to me, and I don't know what you think, but from what I'm getting energetically, I have to compare sometimes this is big stuff, to other people that are aware, awake, whatnot. But it feels like to me that, sorry, my dog is barking. My husband's probably getting the mail. Hold on just 1 minute. I am so sorry. We're going to have to cut this out. Hold on.
No worries.
Okay, I'm sorry. We're going to pick right back on that. Okay. We're going to cut this out. Okay, so I'm going to do this, show and edit. Okay, I know it's a napkin, but it's a flag. So I don't know about you, but for me, I'm really noticing this convergence of souls, and I'm feeling like energetically things have sped up at this point in time right now. It's almost as though, and I don't feel it's just my reality in my world, although, I live on planet Tam, but I feel like that it's that way for a lot of people, that there's a lot of a convergence to meet and co-create, and that it's part of this planetary assignment, because not only do we as individuals or as groups have mission, but we have missions as a planet. And so this even gets bigger. It's not just about our past life. What about our past lives? I mean, we've been together, we played this game. I really don't want to play any war games or blowing stuff up again. I mean, we've done that. We've blown up planets. Really don't want to do that again. Really want to preach the love thing. So tell us, from your perspective as being a client and a past life regressionist, how do you feel energetically things are now? Because it's much bigger than past life. It's about the soul's journey.
Absolutely. Well, I feel that the collective consciousness, unity consciousness, the vibration and the level of consciousness has really raised. I feel the planet did that back with the shift in 2012, that Earth raised her vibration to 5D. And I feel like we're going through another big wave now of people feeling that and doing things like aligning with their higher self, learning how to transmute any remaining karma that they have. Because karma, it's not punishment, it's just a teaching tool. And we don't have to be carrying around like these heavy chains with us, because we can forgive others and forgive ourselves and be in gratitude and start to, raise that level of consciousness and not be stuck in the past. And a lot of people will say to me, well, it's interesting because it seems like, you kind of live in the past for a profession, so to speak, being a past life regressionist. But I do that to help people, and doing my own work too, to be able to heal it and reframe it. And we actually go, and when I'm doing the sessions with clients, after we've gone to a healing temple and gotten them nicely aligned with their guide, we go to the time and place with the most healing and information for their life today. Because we do want to bring it back to today. Let's be practical. How can we be as healthy as possible now? How can we be living our purpose? How can we be sharing love and joy with others? And I don't mean that in a fake, everything's rainbows and unicorns.
Oh, I get it.
Because things are very challenging on the planet, and we have a lot to do. And there's a lot of things that do need to be changed, but it's a beautiful privilege to be here on this wonderful, wonderful planet that we need to treat with respect.
Yes.
And I think that's what COVID has been about, is just this big international timeout of Mother Earth kind of having, sent us all to our rooms. Where people really went within because they didn't have a choice. So some things are being looked at, really, really differently. And the planet was able to heal a lot during that time period. So we've got to create a more sustainable, healthier new normal. We can't knee-jerk back into exactly what we were doing before.
Got it. So you're getting absolutely the same thing I'm getting. I mean, people go, I can't wait till it's normal again. Minus the
new normal.
Minus the mask and all that. Okay, forget all that part. I'm not hung up on that right now. The normal of what? Acting like a chicken with his head cut off, running around, where you're trying to do multiple things and answer to multiple people instead of looking at what your soul needs. No, I don't want to go back to that. I'm thrilled, not about COVID and mask. I'm not talking about that. Right? I'm glad that I personally have had this chance to regroup and think what I want and really honor my own soul. Now, I've talked to a lot of people that this is challenging for them. Some people may be having problems with their children, their wife or husband, but these are things that were there anyway, and they're just rising to the surface. So,
which is an opportunity to reframe it and heal it. Yes,
absolutely. Because if it's there anyway, instead of having a slow thing that you're uncomfortable with and you can't put your finger on it, why not just let it rise to the top and get rid of it? You can still, whether you decide to be with someone or not, or you have choices in the matter. So I think ultimately, even though it might be challenging for a lot of people, that ultimately it's refreshing to be able to regroup and redefine ourselves and redefine what we want as a whole. Because I think if you talk to most people, they don't want any more negativity. They don't want negative talk. They're even sick of people talking about negative stuff. And some people can be mean even on social media. They're tired of that. They're tired of warlike stuff. They really just want to be at peace and really get into their vibe, what they want to do. And I think that people have re-looked at their life and their friends and family in a new way, and what's important to them. And hopefully, cross your fingers, hopefully that they also are taking a greater spiritual responsibility on their own life path instead of letting life happen to them.
Yes, because people just letting go of that victim mentality and letting go of that martyrdom, because it's a lack of responsibility. So, just being able to change things. I mean, who was it that said that? Was it Gandhi? Be the change you want to see in the world.
I love that.
And also being in that place where if you can just make that subtle but powerful change, and don't be in that place of, why is this happening to me? Why does this keep happening to me? If you can change that to, why is this happening for me? You can really shift and start to get to where you're meant to be, and just ask to live that life filled with purpose, and just figure out what that purpose is and do it. The minute you do that and just get yourself aligned and ask your higher self and guides, whatever you relate to, ask God, whatever you relate to, ask for that help and be humble about it. It's going to align. It's going to start to just, rein in and fall at your feet, so to speak, where it's like, yes, now I can live my purpose.
Right. And, and people here's the thing, whether you stay together with someone or not, let's say, whether it be a friend or romantic relationship or whatever it is, maybe that person doesn't want to be with you long-term either. Just saying, maybe they have a better, higher goal. And it's better to send them in love and be supportive in some way of one another, and then cause hardship, because maybe that's for their better good as well.
Absolutely.
That's another way to look at it. Doesn't mean you still
Yes.
can't,
Yes.
you don't have to choose to be enemies, God forbid, if you can avoid that. So
Correct.
we
Correct.
live forever. It's not like you're going to hurt their feelings too much. If you
Right, right. That's why I don't believe in failed relationships or failed marriages. I don't like that expression.
Yeah, I mean,
It's just, it just wasn't meant to be a lifetime relationship.
yeah,
Maybe it was the relationship for the reason or for the season, and it just fulfilled its purpose beautifully. Or you can also look at it as the soul contract is complete.
I like thinking
So,
of it
and
that
just
way.
up level from there. And like you said, part as peacefully and kindly and gently as you can, just respectfully, because you don't want to, create this enmity, being enemies, where you're going to you're going to need to re-meet to like work that out again.
Yeah,
Why create that?
right. And then you're going to have more time in a healing session. There's certain things that we can do on our own, and there's certain things that we need help with whether it be healers or regression. There's certain things that are a little deeper that you do need someone to assist you with. But I think a lot of it, if we took responsibility in a gentle way, in a loving way for ourselves and others, I think we can do a lot of it ourselves, because that's why I don't like doing readings. Like, I think it's like fortune telling. I'm like, look, it does come up, say, here are different options, but ultimately that person already knows what they need and want. They don't really need
Well, you're
anyone to
helping
tell them.
hold space for them so that they can more get to that place. And you're just
Exactly.
that wonderful, objective
Exactly.
facilitator. I see past life regression sessions the same way. You're helping people raise their vibration and frequency and access their own knowledge and soul wisdom, and just heal themselves. You're helping them hold that space. You're not doing it to them or for them. In my way of thinking, you're working together to provide that space so that they are able to move into that place.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that, because certain people know what they need to do, but they just need that. It's like a spiritual coach. They need that to help them through, because it may be a difficult thing. It doesn't mean, I think some people are having small shifts and some people are having big shifts, and
Yes.
it doesn't really matter, whatever that is. It is what it is. So personally, I feel like it's been beneficial for me. I've enjoyed the opportunity to do the things that I want to do and spend time with myself. I feel a freedom that I haven't felt in a long time. And it's personally made me happy, but then other people have different opinions of it, and that's okay. We can all experience different things. So I wanted to talk to you about, I mean, there's so many things. My gosh, Wendy, you're so multifaceted. About your near.
Likewise.
Oh my God. Well, I try to keep that under wraps, but apparently it just keeps seeping out. So, your near-death experiences, I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of what that happened and how that also brought
Sure.
you into your spiritual awakening, because I believe you had some angel encounters too, didn't
I
you?
did. So what happened was, it was 1997 and I was newly pregnant, and I was 10 weeks pregnant. My husband and I were thrilled because there'd been years of infertility, and I'd also had 2 ectopic pregnancies. And we also had a toddler that was 18 months old.
Wow.
So I was working at home, and I'd just been to the doctor one time because it was only 10 weeks along. Everything was looking great, with two exceptions that were kind of catching my attention. And I was having this incredible heartburn that just did not make sense to me, because 10 weeks pregnant is just really early to be experiencing that. And it was pretty intense. So it's like, that doesn't seem right. And I also was having a recurring, a very vivid precognitive dream, but I didn't know what precognitive dreams were in 97. I didn't know you could be having a dream that was warning you that there could be an issue and trying to get your attention. So what I was dreaming multiple times was I would just see this very violent storm at sea. And I would see a big ship, multiple masts, and the masts would tear off, and the cleats and the winches. There was all this ripping and tearing that was very symbolic that I didn't understand. And then the ship would always break in two and the ship would go down. And I would wake up going, oh my gosh, what a horrible nightmare. What is that about? I don't understand. So I'm working at home, and I just could not. It's August 97. I just could not get comfortable. So I kept going in the bathroom. I'm like, am I going to be sick? What is with this incredible heartburn? I'd taken my Lanta. The doctor said that was fine to do. And I just keep like wandering around the house. I'm like trying to focus on work, and I can't. And I then felt this sense of impending doom. And there's no other way to describe it. I have never felt it before. I went in the bathroom one more time, thinking again, I'm going to be sick. Something's wrong. And just this sudden searing pain in my abdomen. I looked down because I literally thought, someone stuck a knife in me. How is that possible? I'm home alone. And I passed out on the floor. And I really feel, pardon?
Was that quick, like a stab? And
it was that quick. It was, and I felt something burst. And that was kind of like my last thought was, wow, did like my appendix burst? What was that?
Okay, it was something. I got it. Okay.
Right. And that's what I think what all that ship going down had been trying to tell me in the dream.
You were the ship.
I was the ship. I was the ship. As well as just that feeling of that ripping and tearing, because it was quite specific. And I came to, and I feel I only came to because this insistent male voice just kept saying, Wendy, you've got to wake up right now. You've got to call for help now, or you're going home. Really? So I opened my eyes. I'm laying on the floor, just curled up in a fetal position. And my bathroom was just so lit up. There were these huge beings of light. There were 4 or 5 of them, and so much light coming from them. They were angels. And I was so shocked. I just was so surprised. I did not expect to ever have an experience like that. And the angel again repeated, you've got to call for help right now, or you're going home. So I said, okay, I understand, but I can't walk. I can't get to the phone. And he said, you only need to be willing to try. If you will try, we can help you. So I got up on my hands and knees. And from there, it was like being lifted. I got like flown to my phone, which was just not far away in the master bedroom, right next to the bathroom.
They did help.
They did help. They did help. It was amazing. And I called my husband. I never thought to call 911. I'd never called it before. The angel didn't say call 911. He said call for help. My husband worked 5 minutes from home. So it was, that was a great call. And miracles continued. I have never reached him at work before or since on the phone. He was always in a meeting here, there, everywhere, but I got him right away. And all I said was, I need you to come home right now. You need to drive me to the hospital immediately. Can you do that? And he said, yes. And I could hear him like slam the phone down. And I knew he was like on the run to his car. And so I give him great credit for that. He didn't play 20 questions. It just was like,
Must
yes.
have heard it in your voice.
Exactly. I had just enough time to call the OBGYN office and tell them what was going on. And I told them my abdomen was rapidly rising and distending. There was no blood loss. going on. So, I didn't know what was happening, but I knew I was really in trouble. And they said, okay, that's great. Your husband's coming. That'll be, faster than an ambulance. You'll get here immediately. We'll be waiting for you. Luckily, so fortunately, divine intervention, the OBGYN office is located at the hospital. So what they told me, the nurse said, I'm going to meet you down. Don't park their car. Just pull up to the door. And I'm going to meet you there with a wheelchair because we don't want you walking because we don't know what's going on. I said, okay, great. So we're there 15 minutes flat, just literally leave the car there and go in, and they whisk me up to their office straight into an ultrasound room and helped me get up on the table. I just was like so curled up and just moaning and groaning, so much pain. And they helped me get up on the table. And I'm like looking at the ultrasound screen, and I said to the ultrasonographer, is that machine on? Is that machine working? Because I couldn't see anything. I didn't understand. I couldn't see organs. And I just saw her face. It just was like black on the screen. And she just said, I'll be right back. I'm going to get the doctor. I'll be right back.
Oh,
so I'm looking at my husband, and we're like, this is not good. So the OB came in. He had a nurse midwife with him. We're now all crowded, 5 of us crowded in this little ultrasound room at the doctor's office. And the OBGYN said, you've got a major blood loss going on in your abdomen. That's the distension that we're seeing. You're physically, so there's something has given way. And I said, well, I felt like an organ burst. He said, well, I think you're right on. Some organ is burst, but I can't tell you what, because I can't get any visualization on the screen. You're just seeing blood. That's what all that black is. You're just seeing blood loss. So it's like, oh gosh. So he tells me we need to admit you on the floors right now. So they whisk me up and admit me into the hospital. And I am laying down in the bed, flat, and they're starting painkillers because I like can't even lay still. I'm in so much pain. So they're trying to get some pain relievers on board. They asked me my blood type, which fortunately I know. I think it's important everyone know their blood type.
Yes.
And I tell them, okay, it's A negative. And I hear the nurse out at the nursing station, because I was in the room next to the nursing station. I was grateful for it, but I also knew that was not a great sign, that they were really concerned about me, that they put me there in that location. She's on the phone with the blood bank, and we have a central blood bank in the Seattle area. Many hospitals don't keep their own blood supplies. It's an essential blood bank so that there's not waste. And she's calling, and she finds out there's been a major train collision a few days earlier. And guess what? They don't have any A negative blood for me.
Oh boy.
So I'm like, what? It's not like we're living in the boonies here. So she's starting to make other calls, and they're like, okay, you're going to have to call around and make some more calls because this gal needs some blood now. So they are able to hang blood. I don't remember how long the delay was, but they are able to hang it. So let's say it's a couple hours later. And I'm told, okay, you can't get out of bed. You need to just lie flat. You can't even get up to go to the bathroom. Let's see, because the body is a miracle of healing. Let's see if whatever burst is able to, kind of just resolve itself, let's hope it's, it's some non-essential organ like the gallbladder or whatever, or the appendix or whatever.
I think we
right.
Okay.
Right. And we did discuss right then and there. The OB was like, gosh, we may need to do surgery. But we agreed, okay, we're going to wait a bit. Let's see if this can resolve on its own. We need to get blood too. We can't be doing surgery at this point because we don't have blood for me. And so it was about 3 days that I just was refusing surgery. I was pregnant. I didn't feel like it was the right move. I was trying to heal myself, but I can see how much blood products they're giving me. I can just see I'm going through bag after bag after bag. It was really hard to focus. I was not staying conscious very well. I would just fall asleep in the middle of an important conversation with a nurse or doctor. I could just feel myself slipping away. It's walking between two worlds is the best way I can describe it, deciding, am I going to stay or am I going to go? So on about the third day, and they're taking my hematocrit each day, and it's falling. So I am officially bleeding out. So the doctor tells me that and says, Wendy, we've got to do surgery. I know you don't want to. We'll do everything we can to preserve the pregnancy if we can, but we've got to see what's going on here, and you need surgery. I said, okay. So I agreed to it in the afternoon, and he goes off to make the arrangements. I'm going to be the first surgery the next day, 2 OBGYN physicians. And there was some talk of, should I go to the teaching hospital? But I was really comfortable where I was. I'd had surgeries there before, and they delivered about 5,000 babies a year. I mean, certainly mine was not viable, but my point was, very, very up on all their OBGYN, all aspects. I said, I'm staying here. I'm staying in my community hospital. I feel very fortunate and like this is where I'm meant to be. So once I've agreed to the surgery, I have my, early hospital dinner. Where do you get that? At 4:45? And I'm trying to just relax and just build up my strength because I felt so weak. I just felt like I'd been run over by a bus. And I'm trying to visualize a positive outcome the next day. And the minute I had that thought, I popped out of my body, absolutely left my body. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. And I knew I was in my pure soul form. And I'm looking back at Wendy in the bed, and I'm feeling kind of disassociated. I know it's me, but not all of me. It's just like a temporary shell. And it's just a portion of me. It's just a little bit of me. And I did have a humorous moment though, because I'm like, oh, wow, she is in bad shape as I look at her. She's whiter than the sheets, and her hair, oh my God, she looks like a wild woman. Because of course there's been like no mirror, there's been no hair brushing or, washing going on for days. I just look like a crazy person. So I did have that humorous moment, and I thought, oh, she's fine. I was just like not very attached. And what caught my attention, I could see light directly above me. It's like, oh, I am going up there. That's where I want to be. That's where I need to be. So I start going up to the light, rising up from my body, and I start to go out. I like pop out of the ceiling of the hospital room, and I'm now outdoors, and I can see the sky, and I can just see all the beauty of nature. And I see this light just calling to me. And then I had another funny thought. I'm like, oh, please don't make me walk through a tunnel. I don't have enough energy. That just sounds like too much work. I didn't know very much about NDEs, but evidently I'd heard of the concept of going through a tunnel. The nanosecond, I think, don't make me walk through a tunnel, this beautiful, pristine escalator comes in just for me. It's just that light is coming out all around it again, perfectly clean, no one on it. You've never seen a heavenly escalator like this. So I get on it with this big feeling of relief, and I'm just like leaning on the railing on it going, just take me up. The minute I get to the top of the escalator, I can't tell you, I have no sense of time. It's just different. It's like timeless and spaceless on the other side. But the minute I get to the top of the escalator, and there's this blinding light that I just love. It doesn't hurt my eyes in any way, but I'm so excited to see it. But I can't fully see it because there's about 20 light beings. My soul family was there right at the top of the escalator, and I am thrilled. The angels were there, all my grandparents were there, and I found that really interesting because I knew my mom's parents quite well. We had lived with them for several years even, but I'd never met my dad's parents because they passed on before I was born, but I knew exactly who they were. Yeah, everyone looks exactly the same. These beautiful white, big, like beach balls of energy. And it's like a little lightning storm inside it. It's just like so much movement and so much joy and just so much love. So they give me a group hug. They won't let me go any further than that one step. They're absolutely blocking my way at the top of the escalator. And I'm trying to like peer over their shoulders. I'm trying to like see more and experience more, but they're holding me and giving me this beautiful group hug. So I settle down and settle into it. It was unconditional love that absolutely just brought me to tears. I mean, it brings me to tears now. I can feel the emotion of it because we don't feel unconditional love very often.
Uh,
It's such a big deal.
Not here in that volume.
Exactly, exactly. And the same angel that had been in my bathroom, we'll call him the spokesperson, he addressed me again and said, welcome home. We're so glad you're here. You've done nothing wrong and you absolutely can stay. You are welcome to stay. But I want you to know that if you want to have the choice to go back, because it's fully your choice, if you want to have the choice to go back, you're going to need to make the decision quickly. And I kind of got the impression, oh, the body's not viable very long without the soul, because I'm off here in heaven with the light for I don't know how long.
Yeah.
And, you know, my body's unattended at home or back on earth, back in the hospital bed. And what he told me was, I can tell you 3 things. I can tell you if you choose to go back, you will have a successful surgery tomorrow. You will fully recover. I also want you to know your baby will be born healthy. So
Wow.
I'm thinking, oh, wow, those are 2 great things to know.
Pretty good things right there.
Really great things. And number 3 was, I also want you to know life is going to be very difficult, likely for many years, because you are not on your life path and you are not living your purpose. So I'm like,
No.
uh-oh,
Now you got that
alarm.
in 1997 from an angel.
Yes, I was 36 years old in
Angel of the
1997.
Lord.
And the angel tells me that. So my natural follow-up question is, oh my gosh, I want to do the right thing. I want to
Yeah.
live my purpose. Here I am. I'm 36 already. What should I be doing? You know, what am I
Right.
not doing? What am I missing? Please give me a clue, since I've managed to miss it for 36 years. And he just gently shook his head.
He said, no, you got to find it yourself.
Right. So I'm looking at all the others thinking, oh, they're going to give. One of them's going to give. One of them's going to give me a hint. And they were so silly. They're like putting duct tape over their mouths. They're like throwing the key away. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to get any more. I just need to be grateful for the amazing information I was told. So
Now,
the
what were
angel,
you doing at that time? I'm curious. What were you? Were you a stay-at-home mom? Were you working?
I was working full time. I had always worked full time, and just we were very busy. We had a full time nanny, and both my husband and I did a little bit of travel for business. Life was just really, really busy.
Were you in a
Um,
different? You were in a different profession then. Then.
Yes, absolutely. So I was doing business development for healthcare systems, was where I spent 30 years in my career. I have an MBA degree, and so that's what I was
You're
doing for
very
my
organized. I know
career.
you've got a corporate background.
Oh, well, thank you. So the angel says to me then, okay, you need to make your decision. What do you want to do? And the minute he said it, I could just feel such a surge of love come through me for my daughter and for the baby I was going to have. And it's like, oh gosh, I'm going back for my children. There's just no decision to be made. So they all gave me one more of those huge group hugs. That time I caught on. It wasn't just unconditional love. They were giving me energy. And I don't think I would have had enough energy to have had that successful surgery otherwise. I don't think the baby and I would have made it, because what the physicians found the next day when they went in and actually did the surgery was my uterus had ruptured,
Oh my.
specifically the fundus, Fundus, at the top of the uterus. That is an aorta. So they estimated I lost 3/4 of my blood supply based on the amount of transfusions that they had to do. So they had to sew up my uterus, surgically repair it while I was pregnant. So luckily I was only 10 weeks. Of course, the fetus is this, tiny little peanut. And they did the surgery. They must have had some sort of imaging because the physician said to me afterwards, we did not disturb the fetus, fortunately, tucked down so low, just unusually low in your uterus. And we were working very carefully up at the top of your uterus. So successful surgery.
Miracle in itself.
It really was. And they had not done this surgery before. They were researching, they were trying to figure out what they were preparing for. They said this happens in like less than 1 in 15,000 pregnancies. So it just was like this odd, structural abnormality that came up and the uterus ruptured.
Well, and you knew these were the people that were going to help you. So you stayed there.
Exactly.
And it's interesting because as you're speaking, I'm thinking, okay, you had the people here on earth that were helping you. Then you had the people on the other side, your relatives, the angels, people that you had soul contracts with. They were helping you, send you the energy and love. And then you had the people here. And that's, that's why I always say we all have a fan club in heaven, because we're not alone here. They see what we're doing. I feel like we're little TV stations to them. They must be very entertained, but they know it's true.
Look what's on Earth TV.
I know it's very specific. Like my relatives know everything that I'm doing. Sometimes I'll have like your relatives that'll come through and tell me, oh, my relative, they know what everyone is doing, and they check me out beforehand, but they know where we are and when they need help. And that energy and that love, you don't have to cross over and go to heaven to get that kind of energy and love. I mean, I think sometimes when you're sitting in a meditative state or a prayer state, a quiet state, and say, however you say it, your thing, but overall, God, the creator, I need assistance. And I definitely think they hear. And I don't think you even
absolutely.
Yeah, I do. They're watching everything because I get it all the time. Evidential, I get stuff and I'm like, I think they must be entertained, but they know when they need to come around. They know when we need that kind of help and support. It could be maybe not physical, it could be emotional.
Absolutely.
You see it in your sessions.
I absolutely do. You're just so on track. So it really so many things did just align for me, and it changed my life because I had never felt that level of support and wisdom and love being available to me. I just really didn't have that sense of the world until then. So that started to shift for me. But I didn't know what to do with the near-death experience. It wasn't observed by any hospital personnel. And I just didn't know who to share it with because I didn't know about the support groups. I didn't know about things like IANS, the International Association of Near-Death Studies, and that there can be local support groups where you can talk to other experiencers and help you integrate it, because it's a big thing to integrate because your belief system is just so changed and your worldview just like changes in those, in that instant or in those few minutes of having that NDE.
Oh yeah. I mean, your world is so much bigger all of a sudden because of going through whatever it is that a lot of people go through. Everybody's different, but still it would be a big undertaking. Back in 1997, I mean, IANS was still around, and then you had that Dr. Raymond Moody Life After Life, but
I didn't know about any of them.
It was not talked about a lot. It was not talked about like it is now. Now it's like, it's a popular thing if you have an NDE. It was not talked about at all. And so now
correct.
We are starting to look at it as a part of life and a part of, this is something that humans go through. This is actually being accepted more as a common thing. And again, they're all different. So
a rite of passage for some. I mean, you of all people, with having had 6, it's just a rite of passage. And NDEs can absolutely help jolt people onto the right path. And I wish I could say that I got on mine quickly, but I didn't. It really took from 1997. It took going through a divorce. when our daughters were 6 and 8. It took me rebuilding my life. It took me until the year 2010 when I met that soulmate of all the ridiculous ways through Match.com. Who goes on Match to wake up spiritually? Probably not very many people. But the fact that he mentioned in his profile, the last thing he wrote in it was, any woman I want to meet, any woman who's really on a spiritual path and spiritual seeking, particularly one interested in an LBL. And I didn't know what LBL was. So I Googled it and fortunately found the correct reference to Dr. Michael Newton and Journey of Souls and the Life Between Lives. And I wrote to that match and said, is this what you're talking about? Are you talking about Life Between Lives? Are you talking about Journey of Souls? And he said, yes, I'm getting ready to go for my second LBL. Are you on that path? Do you know about it? So that was the energies bringing us together right from the start. And that's why we then did that spiritual seeking and found all those lives together to clean up. Oh my goodness.
Well, I think too, that, there's so many things that sound impossible about that. But here's the thing, we are not alone. I tell people we are not alone. I see it all the time in sessions. I know you do too, that we have support on the other side. Can they tell us? No, the tape over the mouth, throw away the key. Now, sometimes they'll say things like, you're pregnant. How'd you know? Well, that's already happened. See, so it's just confirmation. The other side. Sometimes they can say things, but a lot of times it's for us to find out, but they will assist us, especially if we are trying, our eyes are open, we're okay. What's next? I'm like, okay, I'm looking, I'm awake. Okay. Well, didn't expect that. Okay. But we'll go there. They really, and they try so hard and people go, I don't know. It's because I think that you have to shift your awareness from the victimhood and being less than to, hey, life is an opportunity. What's going to happen next?
Exactly.
And then they'll start showing you signs. They'll start bringing in people.
The synchronicities. Yes.
The synchronicities. And they'll be so crazy. There is no way that we could set that up. There's something bigger at hand. And so I get excited, and I love how you put it about being an adventure guide, because it's not just really, I love how you're explaining this, not just about past life, there's in between lives, but it's our soul journey and it's our life. We should be interested in it. I always tell people the greatest journey you will ever have is the journey of self, because
Absolutely.
that rabbit hole goes deep. And I mean, it goes deep and it surprises you, but it's always glorious. It's never, it's always a glorious thing. The discoveries, because why? We're from the divine. It can't be all that bad. We're
all a spark of the divine. Exactly.
And we may fall and we may skid our knee. We may say some things. We may do some things. But we all make mistakes, but it's about picking yourself up and looking with childlike wonder. And I think that's what, Jesus meant with child, be like a child. He's saying, how children are just so open to things and they giggle a lot and they want to play and they're like, what? Really?
Be in the moment.
And they're in the moment and they're just like, yay. And they haven't become so serious. They haven't been allowed life to beat them up yet. Mm-hmm. And they're just, they're more wondrous. And I think that when you just take on this wondrous childlike view, that in itself is a game changer, because so many times I think people believe that business card, or they believe, oh, well, I'm an adult, I should act like an adult. Who says that? I don't act like adult really most of the time. I'm serious. I think it's the anti-aging cure. If you act like a child, start reversing the way you look. If you identify with your body or your age, you're going to look terrible. I'm right. Am I not?
Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. And I never forgot how the angel said to me when I was laying on the bathroom floor and told him that I couldn't get to the phone. And he said, you just have to be willing to try. And clearly, that changed my life, because then I got all the assistance from there. So I just thought that was so, just so important. And just that first step, just take that first step.
But that was a miracle how they kind of floated you and have done that. I've heard other things before with people that one guy was trying to take his life. It can happen. And yeah, that comes through a lot in readings. And no, they don't go to hell or anything like that.
Well, there isn't any hell.
They're just working on what they're working on.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the problem is we can't cut out early, or if we do, we're going to have to pick it back up. So we might as well just, happily go on and then see what's next. But
You'll have to repeat the grades. You might as well keep going.
tell people, if you're in third grade and just saying, if you want a shortcut, you're going to guess what grade you're going to come. You're not going into seventh, you're going back in third. It's not worth it. But anyways, this fellow was telling me about, he said, oh, it's not a good time in my life. And I said, it's okay. I don't care. It's fine. He said that literally he was suspended. We'll say that the angels picked him up and it's a pretty big body, by the way, Jumbo, across the room. Now, there are miracles that do happen, but I think we're the miracle. We're the walking miracle. We're the one who has divine in us. We've forgotten who we are. We live eternally. So if we live in eternally, and I always tell people, like when you look at a time period movie and you identify with that, well, honestly, we should all identify with that. And even if you're in between states, you're still cognizant of what's going on with the world, actually more so. To more of an infinite reality of what is going on in multiple worlds. So we're a part of everything. We are not only a part of creation, we are creation.
Exactly. And you do hear the term, co-creating with the divine. And also it can sound again like a platitude of saying we're all one. But I certainly felt that at home, and I loved seeing how everyone looked exactly the same, yet you just know who they are. But these artificial divisions around race and culture and gender and age, they don't mean a darn thing.
No,
We're just
we've
all
been through everything.
simply souls. We're eternal souls, period.
Absolutely. We've been male, we've been female, we've been Asian, we've been white, we've been old, we've been young, we've been rich, we've been poor, we've been happy, sad, indifferent, mean, not mean, everything. It's because so we can experience. I mean, we are the divine embodied in flesh and blood. And so, I mean, look, we're going to have Wendy's information below, and I know I've had other past life regressionists on. Everybody's different, just like mediums. Everybody's different. You connect with different people. But her information will be below. She knows a lot about this, especially the in-between lives, which not everybody does that. And I have done that. I did that last time in depth with, I think I said, Dr. Linda Bachman, and it blew me away.
Game changer.
It was a game changer. Like, actually, I'm still dealing with that because I'm like, it was good. Okay. But it was like
some surprises,
some major surprises, like, and I'm still like, really? Okay. But I guess what I'm saying is reality is so much more exciting than the way it's presented and the way you've been told your whole life. And you can create your own reality. So one way to do it is to get rid of the junk you don't need with things like this, with the regression, or actually just looking at, why do I feel this way? Why am I upset right now? What is it that so-and-so? What is, if your eye hurts, pluck it out, pluck the needle out. I mean, if you don't like it and you're sad, wish someone well, but maybe they shouldn't be around you, or you shouldn't be around them. It's quite simple. So let's go through. I know we've only got like, 5 or 10 minutes. I want to be able to, you did have another NDE. I know you did mention that. And I know we're going to be speaking on the Spiritual Awakenings International free conference.
Yes.
Soon. We're on the multiple experiencers panel. And so people are going to be able to hear your story even more full in depth. So just real quick, I'm going to plug them real quick because it's free, but it's June 12th and 13th, and it's www.spiritualawakeningsinternational.org. Sign up for free in June, and you can hear Wendy's entire story in depth, and then I'll be in there too. There'll be other really cool speakers as well, but I do want to mention you're one of the keynote speakers on that. We're going to have a lot of fun. So
absolutely.
And I know you did. Could you just mention the other one you had? And just, I hate to, shorten this. And again, they're going to hear everything.
2 NDEs were the same week. So it was both in August of 97 while I was pregnant. So.
Okay. So you had another one. Was it back to the hospital? that one?
So the one in the bathroom, you know, meeting with the angels then, and then the one in the hospital where I left my body. So
Oh my God, both. Got it. Got it. Okay. And it can happen like that. Like, I think it was Robert Bear had two in one day with a heart attack,
mhm.
and he had it, he died, and then he came back. And I mean, that's officially two NDEs. If you are dead
Mhm.
and then you come back, hello, and you have a pulse, and then you go again. I mean, that is, you could have multiple ones. So that can occur. Or I had three in a row. I had when I was 3, when I was 4, when I was 5.
Oh my goodness.
I know, right? But you know what? The thing is, I don't really have a button on that because I mean, bonus for me, I hung out with Jesus 3 days. I'm just going to tell you, it was good stuff. So I'd do it all over again. I mean, it was good. I mean, it's just, he's like the ultimate love bug. I mean, you know, and told me so much wisdom. I mean, like, and it was like really beautiful. So it's what I kind of daydream about, like walking around in this pretty field with him. I'm like, yeah, you know, that's my bonus one day. That's my Jesus brownie points. But it was, that's later on, you know, that's what and I told him I wanted a disco party because we already know half the Bee Gees are there, Donna Summer. And it was so cute because I told you his personality is very light and fun.
Absolutely.
He winked at me. He goes, I think I can arrange that. Welcome to my disco party in heaven when I have it one day, because there's a lot of singing and dancing there. Well, look, I want people to be able to connect with you. We're going to be doing this live chat tomorrow. We're going to have fun, and there's nothing that you can't ask Wendy. Not that she will know everything, but I'm pretty sure she probably will, because you have personally put yourself through your own spiritual healing and training, and so have I. And a lot of people don't understand that. And let me make this point real quick before I finally, you know, introduce them or tell them about your website and so forth. So many people you see near-death experiencers, doesn't mean they're enlightened. Not all of them go to the white light realm. They could just be an out of body. The other thing is, if they started out unstable, they could still be unstable. Number 2, a lot of people like yourself and me, I know Dr. Yvonne Kaysen too, she's a lot of spiritual training. Meaning I have paid for so many people of the years for past life and different things, and trained myself and I have put myself in there. And so I don't believe that I should represent and ask people to do that if I haven't done it myself. So
Exactly.
I want you to know that I know you have, Wendy, put in real work. It's not like poo-poo, have a, you know, epiphany. I put in the work. And so so when you see people like us, it's not just because we had an ND, it's because we put in the work. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. Because we've had the experiences, and as you said, we've looked for the training, but we also have our own spiritual practices. So it's bringing together the theory, you know, with the experiences and the training, just to be able to offer other people a hand up, because we both went through the trenches in a lot of ways. And it's just, you know, seeing the good side of that, because yes, you definitely have to be enough years past the NDE, or past the layoff that you didn't want, or past the marriage that you didn't want to end, or you know, whatever, the car collision, you know, whatever it is. But those things all happen for a reason, and it's just keep getting on your path and your purpose.
Absolutely. It's not meant to darken you. It's meant to get you on your path. I got to say something. A lot of us humans are hard-headed. And if we keep ignoring the signs, you know, it could be an accident or what.
They get bigger and bolder.
They get, every time they get the messages, they get bigger and bolder. So that's why I'm like, okay, I'm listening. Okay, I'm listening, because I don't want anything crazy. I've been through a lot of crazy stuff. I just want to keep on going and not have setbacks. So I want you to tell everybody about your Waking Up Spiritually podcast, and you've also got a co-host too. Tell us what days that's on and how they can find you.
Sure. So I co-host the Waking Up Spiritually podcast live twice a month, and it's the second and fourth Sunday at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. I co-host it with Greg Kirk, and people can find us if they want to watch it live. Just go to Facebook and go into the Waking Up Spiritually Facebook group and join us there. Or you can simply go to wakingupspiritually.com and you can see the archives. And we also have a YouTube channel by the same name. And the little twist, we wanted to just do something kind of fun and different. And our guide said, well, instead of just, the two little talking heads of Wendy and Greg, do some PowerPoints. So most of them have a PowerPoint presentation with them. So, it's fine if you're in the car listening, that's great. Or you're doing your housework and listening, that's wonderful. But if you do want to look at it, there are the PowerPoint presentations as we do the podcast.
They're very thorough. I've listened to a couple and I'm telling you, they're fun, but they're very meaty. There's some good stuff in there. So guys, check out, even going back through your past episodes, you have all sorts of spiritual topics that I think would be really helpful for a lot of people, including how to ground, how to handle your energy. There's just all sorts of stuff on there that you can find. And if you want to get a session with Wendy, I'm sure you're not going to be disappointed. You would go to wendyrosewilliams.com, correct?
Yes, exactly. And people are welcome, listeners are welcome to go there. And please just check out the website, frequently asked questions page. And then on the contact me page, on the last page, just request a complimentary 15-minute phone appointment and just let's talk. Let me understand what's going on with you and just see if I can be of service.
Oh, that's so great. Well, you have been just absolutely fascinating, so kind, so patient. You've just been just a terrific guest, and I'm excited about our live chat tomorrow. And it's guys,
yes,
it's 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's just 1 hour, but we try to pack it in. So go ahead and start getting your past life, soul journey, multiple lives, different dimensions. I mean, we've got some crazy stories. Wendy's told me about some of her clients being on other planets and mermaids, which I'm totally fascinated with. I'm obsessed with mermaids. I have no idea. I just go with it. And unicorns. How old am I? 12 years old. But there are other dimensions and realities where people have been different species. And she would even talk about that. So get your questions together for tomorrow night at 6 p.m. And I always have premieres Thursday at 4 Eastern Standard Time and also Friday at 6 p.m. the live chat, or unless we have a special event. So please subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss anything. And check WendyRoseWilliams.com out. She's got a lot to offer you and many things that are free. If you don't even have the monies right now, you want to save up or what have you, they're free and they can help you wherever you are on your path. So thank you so much, Wendy. You're a blessing to this world. I appreciate you for being.
Oh, well, thank you. And likewise, it was just such a privilege to be here and just what a perfect place to align with seeking heaven.
Oh, thank you. I agree too. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.